Hello and welcome to this course on finance for non-financial managers. What we're looking at here today is the accounting equation, and what I'm going to use is the spreadsheet that you can see on the screen in order to describe this. So if you see me looking away from the camera, it's not that I don't want to look at you, it's just because I got it right onto the other section of the screen. Okay, so let's go up here and start at the beginning. We're going to talk about the accounting equation. Now, this is pretty straightforward because the accounting equation simply states that our assets must equal our liabilities. Liabilities. Okay. Helps you spell this stuff right. Okay, so I just want to align these out if I may. Now, that's interesting because what is an asset? An asset is something in the main that an organization owns. Okay, that's an asset. Then if we look at liabilities, what are they? Liabilities are something that an organization owes. Now the difficulty most people have when they look at this accounting equation is they don't see the relevance of it. When you start looking at financial statements, it's the whole basis upon which they are built. So you need to pay close attention to this to have a good understanding of financial statements. So anyway, assets. Well, I bet you can think of an asset, example of an asset. Let's just say that could be a property, shop or something. It could be a motor vehicle or a truck, fixtures and fittings, computer equipment. If you're the airline business, it could be airplanes, this type of stuff. And then what would be a liability associated with that? Well, let's run through a few examples here, okay? So let's say you buy a shop, okay? And how are you going to pay for that shop? Well, you might need to take out a loan from a bank. So now the shop equals the loan. How does that work? So let's just say the shop is on a little bit of a shopping parade, and we say it costs 100k. So you go to buy it, it's going to be 100k. So where are you going to get the money? You're going to go to a bank and you're going to borrow 100k. So now it's easy to understand that the shop equals the loan, 100k. Now, that's fairly basic stuff. In relation to assets, it needs to be stated that assets can be split into long-term assets and short-term assets. So let's have a little look at that then. Okay, so we can have long-term assets and we can also have short-term assets. Okay, and in the same way, when we look at our liabilities, we can have long-term liabilities. It helps if I spell liabilities. And we can also have short-term liabilities. So again, the accounting equation is just getting extended. It starts off saying that the assets equal our liabilities. And now what we're saying is that we can have assets and liabilities that are held in the business for different periods of time, be they long-term, i.e. in excess of 12 months, or short-term, less than 12 months. So let's have some examples. Well, we've already looked at this business of buying a shop with a long-term loan. So basically, normally when you borrow 100k, you'd be spreading the repayments back over many years. Let's say it's 10 years. So therefore, you have a long-term asset, which is the shop, long-term asset up here, which is the shop, which equals this long-term asset over here. And then we have a loan, which is also a long-term liability. So what would happen in order to get some short-term assets involved here? So let's say we buy some stock. So we just spread this out here now. So now I have a shop worth 100k, a shop 100k, and that's a long-term asset. And I have a loan of 100k, which is the borrowings in order to buy this particular asset for long-term asset. So let's just say I want to get some stock in. I'm in the business of buying and selling paper. Let's just say paper supplies for various businesses. So that's pretty straightforward. All I need to do then is to buy some paper. So I just say paper stock. And let's say that paper stock costs 5k. Okay. Now I'm going to get that off a trade creditor, somebody who supplies me and I don't have to pay them straight away. So now I just say trade creditor 5k. Now the assets equal my liabilities. There's only one other additional complication here in relation to the accounting equation. It's not overly complicated, but all it is that you need to consider monies that are owed by the business back to the owners of the business. Think about that for a moment. When somebody puts money into a business, that's referred to as capital. And basically, if that was the instance in this particular situation, let's just say the owners of the business decided to put in some monies into the business. And let's say they decided to put in 10K. So how would that affect us? Well, a 10K would just be referred to as capital of the business. And capital is all monies invested in the business. So that would just go in under 10K capital. And let's just say they put it in as cash. Well, that would be a short-term asset because that would be 10K cash into the bank. Okay. And now these other ones still exist. This exists, the trade creditors exist. So the accounting equation holds true. So now we have, my apologies, that 10K, that should go over here somewhere. We don't want to confuse you. And we want to go here, equals that. So now we have a situation, we just make that a little bit bigger so you can see it. Don't want you to get confused. So now we have assets that are stacking up in the background here. That shouldn't be coming true. Sorry about that. Close that out there for a second. We have assets. Whoops, made that a little bit bigger. And we go back over here. So we have 100K worth of a shop. We have 5K worth of stock, and we have 10K in the bank. And that all equals 100K loan, 5K trade creditors, and 10K capital. So we have 115K equals 115K. That is the accounting equation. And we'll see how that translates back to other things in the financial statement shortly.